So friends, with this, we move ahead with our next session, which is panel discussion. And for this, now I would like to invite Miss Archana Jain, Head, Department of Human Development, Sir Vithaldas Thackersey College of Home Science Autonomous, to take this panel discussion session ahead. So over to you, Archana.
Thank you, Madhuri. Uh, Thank you, Madhuri. Uh, it is a great pleasure for me to invite everyone for this panel discussion, Mind Body Connect Challenges and Opportunities. It is said that adversities open new paths and perspectives for people to grow, especially our young. However, it is very difficult and challenging to deal with these changes that these adversities bring. We believe that the right balance between the mind and the body, okay, which is the correct attitude and the perspective, along with nutrition and diet, would enable us to deal effectively with these challenges. So for this session, we were very fortunate to get a very good panelist. Okay, the three panelists are Ms. Sheryl Salis, Dr. Harish Shetty, and Ms. Leandi Van, who will be sharing their views and perspectives with our youth, okay, to be able to get this correct balance in their life. We will also have the participants' questions at the end of the session. So please be there for the session till the end, and then you can address your questions in the chat box, which will be answered at the end of this session, the panel session. We are very fortunate to have Mr. Vanshdeep Singh Madan as the moderator for this session, and it is my pleasure to introduce him. He is the former Big Four consultant and an Amazon bestseller author. Presently, he is the founder of the Sudoku Consulting, a business analyst consulting firm. He has worked extensively on consulting projects in the telecom industry and has helped Indians leading telecom companies prevent massive revenue leakages using insights and deep data analysis. He started Sudoku Consulting with the goal of bringing these advantages to SMEs and family owned business. I now invite Mr. Vanshdeep to start the panel session.
Hello everyone. I hope everyone's doing good today. Um, Before we actually begin with the session, I would like to firstly thank everyone for the great introduction. And I would like to begin with introducing our panelists for today. We have Miss Sheryl Salis, who is going to handle the nutritional part of this entire panel discussion. She's a registered dietitian and a certified diabetes educator. She's the founder of Nurture Health Solutions and has a rich experience of over 2 decades in the field of dietitian and diabetes education. She's also the course director at TISS and NSDC Certified Diabetes Educator course. Along with Ms. Sheryl Salis, we have Ms. Leandi Van Zyl. She is the head of sports science, strength and conditioning. She's a qualified sports scientist who has worked with athletes aged 9 to 50. She has had articles featured in FHM, Be Positive and Mumbai Mirror. And she's taken part in Live Through Movement Conference and SAS RE Conference 2012. Apart from this, she is a part of the Sir.HN Reliance Foundation Hospital. She's the head of sports science and strength and conditioning over there. Lastly, but not the least, to handle and understand and explain the mental health aspects of the situation which we are facing today is Dr. Harish Shetty. Dr. Harish Shetty is a practicing psychiatrist who has an extensive experience in the field of mental health. He has experience in school mental health and has conducted hundreds of workshops for students and teachers, heads of education institutes and non-teaching staff for the past 2 decades. He has taught at TISS for a decade around in 1990s as an external faculty. He has also founded Maitri, an organization that works with families affected by mental health problems. He recently has located a wellness software course at IIT Dharwad for his students. I would just like to introduce all the 3 esteemed panelists to the session. Okay. Okay. So before we have our first words for the panelists, we have Miss Girija, who's a student of SVT College, and we also have Miss Navleen, who's a counselor at the SVT College. I feel they have, so I feel they have a perspective as to what is happening right now with the young adults. Ms. Girija can give us a perspective as to what her personal struggles have been during this pandemic. And I feel Ms. Navleen can talk to us about what other students have faced and have discussed with her during this pandemic, and what are the problems and how we can find solutions to that. Over to you, Ms. Girija.
Good morning to one and all. It's a pleasure to address distinguished dignitaries like you today. The lockdown has forced everyone to adapt to staying at home and interacting with the world virtually. Though not having to travel to college or work saves time and energy, the lack of physical activity is leading to weight gain and weaker joints and muscles. Before the lockdown, even without a structured exercise regimen, we would definitely walk a fair distance to commute from railway stations to colleges or home, and even around the college to go to the library, canteen, change classes, etc. The benches and chairs in schools and colleges, though not always ergonomically designed, would make sure that the posture was well maintained while studying and working. But with the advent of work from home and online lectures, not only the eyes but also the back and neck are burdened. It has become difficult to separate work and personal life. One is constantly before the screen or surrounded by books, which may take a toll on the mental health. We miss meeting friends, chit chatting, and enjoying a spread of multicultural lunch in the break. This may add to the feeling of loneliness and the frustration that of being confined in one's home. Like the working hours have become erratic, so have the sleep and meal timings. Not having to wake up 3 to 4 hours before the class time has allowed one to stay up at night, working on assignments or watching every show on the OTT platform there is. One may sleep for 7 to 8 hours, but the quality of sleep is poor because of odd sleep timings and using gadgets in bed before sleeping. Just like the intake of home cooked meals has increased in the lockdown, so has the intake of instant and ready to cook meals. 3 to 4 meals a day have changed to 6 to 7 snacks a day. Unfortunately, this snacking rarely includes fruits or nuts, but unhealthy packaged foods like chips, biscuits, namkeen, chocolates, etc. All these changes in lifestyle due to the lockdown have affected the mental and physical health. With the recently initiated nationwide vaccination drive, let's hope that we can leave behind the negatives of the new normal and go back to our pre pandemic lives with lessons of sustainability and positivity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Girija. I would like to bring in Miss Navleen. She can add to this with what she's learned from what her students have been talking to her about during this pandemic.
Good morning to everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share the concerns my students have been facing. There have been a lot of students who've been calling me. We've been having our counseling sessions because of increased level of stress and anxiety as well as depression, signs of depression. I would like to say that. There are some concerns that I would like to share. Few of them are like mood swings due to no social interaction. They have been missing their friends due to less contact with them. So a lot of relationship issues like breakups with friends as well as their companions or partners have been going through disturbing information during pandemic, like there is a loss in some family member, or when they hear a neighbor a death or a loss that's been going on, family members who have been losing their jobs, or the work has been stopped, so there are a lot of financial concerns, to get a job or handling things at home. They also have difficulty or showing interest in living, like there's no interest in living on life since they're unable to understand what is next, what's going to happen, and how are we going to survive ahead. And there's another issue that they have been facing is like home violence and abuse, and this has increased due to the confusion and lack of social interaction. So these are certain some few concerns that we feel our students have been facing. So we look forward to have some fruitful interaction ahead with our panelists and get some kind of suggestions for help and support, so that some kind of stress, anxiety, as well as the signs of depression can be reduced. So thank you so much to give me this opportunity to share the concerns my students have been facing in the college, especially.
Thank you so much, Ms. Navleen. Um, we got some really fascinating points of discussion right now. So I would first like to just discuss with Ms. Sheryl, as we heard, where we've seen that during the pandemic, nutrition has taken a toss completely. It's been difficult just handling our own lives. So people have obviously gone on to find the easiest way possible. Home cooked meals are not there anymore. We've been ordering from Swiggy and Zomato more than ever before. So could you give us a perspective as to how this is affecting everyone and what are the challenges which you're facing over here?
Thank you so much, Vanshdeep. And at the outset, I'd like to thank SVT College of Home Science and HADSA for this kind invitation. And I think, Vanshdeep, the whole lockdown period, so if you see at the beginning of lockdown, it was very different because it was very unsettling. You know, it was something that came out of the blue. And there was nothing that they could order from out initially. So basically, everybody was confined to eating home cooked meals. And actually, we thought that people will lose weight because, you know, we always thought that, you know, these delivery chains were responsible for the weight gain, etc., and going out and all that. But I think at home also what happened is mothers were at home, they donned their chef caps. And I think everybody got into cooking. And if you see, there was an interesting survey done by Economic Times, which actually showed that the maximum ingredient that was bought during the lockdown period were bakery ingredients. So, you know, everybody was baking breads and pastries. I myself did a lot of that. And, you know, and as a result of which children started gaining weight because there was access to a lot of food. And like Navleen said, and you know, Girija shared, that people out of boredom also we reach to food, you know, and food is comfort, especially at these times. And, you know, there's a lot of anxiety or you really don't know what you're in, you know, what is in store for you. So a lot of eating happened just because out of boredom, not because out of hunger. And there was a lot of weight gain that we saw. So even in spite of not getting access to outside food, there was weight gain that we saw. And basically we saw, you know, people taking it in two ways. So, you know, we saw both ways. And if you look at it, one is, I think the pandemic also made people aware about the importance of nutrition. I think this was a very, very important thing. So that was a positive side effect of the entire thing, that people started focusing more on nutrition, started understanding how nutrition was so important. And a lot of parents actually reached out to us during this period, you know, especially in June, July. So, you know, where they saw that their children were gaining weight because there was no physical activity. So they actually reached out to us and they thought that this was the best time where they were at home and the children were at home, where they could, you know, embark on a healthy lifestyle. And they reached out to us and we saw a lot of children also, you know, lost weight and improved their risk parameters. And obviously there was another set of people also who had enough excuses as to why we cannot do it, and continued with their lifestyle, you know, like Girija said, you know, sleeping late. I think on an average, people were sleeping at around 1 and 2, even sometimes 4 in the morning because they were binging on Netflix. And there was a lot of unhealthy in the night. And, you know, because of the erratic timings, we definitely saw that people gained weight. So we have had both, you know, experiences where some people have, you know, kept giving their excuses, but some people have taken it up as, you know, as, you know, something that they have never had the time for. And now, you know, using this time for their health. So it's been, I think, you know, there's a positive and a negative both to it.
Yeah. I don't think the parents can blame Swiggy and Zomato anymore for the weight loss or weight gain anymore. There is no, they had the option of where it was completely shut down and still there was no changes that happened.
Yeah, in fact, there was a very interesting, you know, analysis that was done on YouTube. If you see, the maximum searched, you know, the term was restaurant style cooking, and people were looking for recipes where they were making dal makhani at home to butter chicken at home because, you know, and a lot of it, if you looked at social media, all that you saw was food. And I myself did it. So, you know, I'm also guilty of the fact that I did it, but I thought that was a good time for me to, in fact, my son didn't know I could cook till the lockdown. And that's when he figured out that his mom can cook also, you know, so that was one good thing. But yes, we can't really blame only the delivery chains for weight gain.
Yeah, it was a good point where like food brought us comfort. It's a very uncomfortable time where we didn't know what was going to happen. You also mentioned how that was affecting our sleep, where people were really like not sleeping well. Girija mentioned how because everyone was working from home, just the body posture and us sitting and just sitting in front of the computer, not being able to walk, which we normally do, was just added to all the problems which we had. I would like to bring Miss Van Zyl into the conversation when she could add as to how just the pandemic has affected people's physical well-being, as to how just working from home, not having a chance to actually work out has affected people.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, great. Thank you guys so much for inviting me here. It's really nice to be here and to speak to you all about my passion, which is physical fitness. And yes, definitely this lockdown and the pandemic has affected us greatly. So if we look at our postures while we're working at home, sitting for 6, 8, 10 hours sometimes in front of our computers, you can see that your posture, I hope you guys can see me, your posture tends to be this way, right? Even when we're on our phones, even when we're on our computers.
Miss Van Zyl, 1 second. Can you enable your video? I don't think so we can see you right now.
Oh, I can see myself. So sorry, let me switch it on and off. Can you guys see me now?
We can't see you right now.
Not at all. Okay. I'll just try and switch it off again. Now?
Are you on a computer or are you on a laptop?
Yes.
Or on a mobile?
Computer.
Okay. So
you can continue speaking and
yeah. Sorry, I'll maybe I can.
Okay, I'll get back to you. Maybe you can try setting up your video. I'll get back to you in like 5 minutes. Is that okay?
Sure,
okay.
No problem.
Maybe you can join again. You can log out and join again. That will help.
Sure, I'll just do that.
Okay, thank you. I would like to bring in Dr. Harish Shetty. We heard from Ms. Navleen as to, apart from the physical and nutritional aspects to the pandemic, what has happened to us, there has been a massive mental health component to it also. We haven't been able to meet anyone. Obviously, social distancing has become almost like a curse word essentially for people right now. So like she mentioned about problems which people are having with their social relationships, their romantic relationships, and well as family relationships. Could you please expand on that and all the problems which we are facing right now?
One adverse effect or outcome of the virus was that the missiles were silenced, the bombs were silenced, and all of us realized that we're all mortal human beings. Mm-hmm. And when you realize that you're a mortal human being, the outcome is also a sense of forgiveness to our friends who have fought with us. Now, all the young boys and girls who are listening, एक बात ध्यान रखिए, तो ऐसा जब विचार आता है आपको, तो just pick up the phone and start connecting. Loneliness is an attitude. Connection is an effort. And when you actually start connecting, you would say, no, she has not given me notes when I wanted it badly. She said no to me. Why should I speak to her? Why should I actually speak to him? She did not wish me on my birthday. He did not wish me on my birthday. Why should I speak to him? Pick up the phone and connect. And there's a fear there. The fear was that if they reject me, no issues at all. When you count 100, 10 or 15 will connect you. So loneliness has to be killed. And many people, many young boys and girls did that beautifully, beautifully. And as you do that also, there's a caveat. Yaad rakhiye, don't go back to the abuser. Don't go back to that person who exploited you. So you protect your mental health when you also try to connect. Globalization disconnects from small houses to flats to towers to bungalows. Disconnect. You only know somebody died in a building by the notice put up by the secretary. So reconnection is not only a war against loneliness, but it's also a war against globalization. Having said this, one might say, I'm shy. I'm introverted. I do not know what to do. I feel very scared. Most of us have school friends and schoolmates whom we have not talked to for years. And people love talking to school friends and schoolmates. Hunt them out. ढूंढ लो उनको सबको और ढूंढते ढूंढते फोन उठाओ बात करिए talk to them. So loneliness is your choice. Connection is an attitude. Again, beyond this, loneliness can also be a sign of depression. Movement causes mood. Isolation causes depression. So if you're stuck in your room because you're scared of the virus still to date, if you're stuck in your room because your parents are scared and they said not going out at all, start moving inside your house. I walk 10,000 steps inside my house. Start moving inside your circle, and then loneliness will be written. But if you still feel you're paralyzed emotionally and mentally, you're paralyzed so badly that you just can't talk to anybody, do not go to an astrologer. Go to a friendly neighborhood psychologist or psychiatrist. Do not allow people to say, तुम्हें कुछ नहीं हुआ है, कुछ नहीं हुआ यार, थोड़ा कूदो यार, थोड़ा गल करो यार. Nothing doing. Hand can be fractured and you can be immobilized. The mind also can be fractured and can be physically and mentally immobilized. So loneliness is a choice. Connectivity is an action which we all need to take. The virus has taught a lot of lessons. Beautiful sharing from Sheryl. I love that bakery item. I wish she shared all those things which she cooked with all of us. So my dear young boys and girls, connect, forgive. Life is like a Coco game moving around in circles, not knowing who will touch you when. So if that girl has not helped you, don't wait for you to help her. Or if you have helped somebody, don't wait for her to help you. Somebody else will help you. That's how life goes on. So connect and let's beat the angst of globalization and the virus.
That was amazing. I mean, to think of connection as an effort and as an attitude is absolutely amazing. It's a completely different thought process. I feel we can relate that to even nutrition as well as a physical activity. It's not going to happen, like we will have excuses day in, day out, wherein where if you have an opportunity, whatever the scenario is, you have an opportunity to make changes. Like you mentioned how you are walking about 10,000 steps in your room. I think so Ms. Van Zyl is here again. She can talk about how people have incorporated exercise into their day-to-day lives, even in the pandemic. Ms. Van Zyl? Okay. While she connects, I would like to bring in Ms. Sheryl. Sheryl again. Okay, she's...
I'm here. Vanshdeep,
okay.
Can you see me?
Yeah. Continuing this thought, I just want to know how, like, the same attitude could be used for nutrition as well. Like the effort which is required, I feel, with nutrition as well. So there are some people who have made the effort, or on the other hand, people haven't. Like, what has been the difference between the two?
Absolutely. I think, Vanshdeep, one thing is, I think there's a difference between being physical distancing and social distancing. So yes, while we were, distancing physically, but I think socially we were all very connected, and that I think that kept us going. Thanks to the technology and social media, at least a lot of our anxieties were put to rest, and we were connecting with friends and family. And I think a lot of us used it in a positive manner also, while we cooked recipes and we posted it on social media. But I think it was a good way because we were also sharing healthy recipes. In fact, I used the pandemic period, and I think some of you know it, where I started, getting my son is 11 years old, and we started doing a lot of healthy videos and, putting it out on social media. And a lot of mothers were trying this out with their children. So that was a very positive influence that, had on a lot of kids and mothers. And, there was a lot of sharing of healthy recipes. There was, like Dr. Harish Shetty said, that he did 10,000 steps. And, we were sharing videos with our clients, as well as a lot of people on social media were showing ways on how they were trying to be physically active. And today, thanks to YouTube, you have so many videos which are available, right from Zumba to a lot of other physical activities, which you can do from your home itself. But all it needs is a lot of motivation. And the thing is, people need to do it, because everything is available to you, but you need to get to doing it, which is, I think, which is the most important thing. So, again, there are a lot of things that we can, influence the younger generation. And healthy food need not be boring. I think that's the first thing that we have to tell, because a lot of people come to us even as clients, and they would have gone to a buffet the previous night or eaten vada pav and samosa because they feel ki abhi ye, she's going to give us only ghas poos. So dietitians have that reputation that, we are going to starve them or give them unhealthy food, which is not true. It's all about eating healthy and sustainable living. And again, as a family, I think this was very good, because you had the father make something, the mother make something, because the cooks were not available and everybody was working out of home. So trying to make the best out of their time. And try and again, because you don't want to cook very elaborate meals, because there are too many dishes also to wash. We didn't have maids to wash dishes. So mothers are also very particular about how much they cooked in how many utensils. So very simple one pot meals is what we thought, or we gave recipes to a lot of mothers, which could be made, which is very simple. Even a khichdi, if you look at, if you make a simple khichdi which has rice, dal, put some vegetables in and have a curd, it becomes a balanced plate. It becomes a very nutrient dense meal, and you don't have too many utensils to wash. So parents mothers especially were very happy with that idea, and they implemented it. And you can have so many different one pot meals, which kids also like. So one very important thing is to remove the word diet. It's not diet, it's healthy eating. And making the food look appealing, because we eat with our eyes. So one is try and use more color. And I think, again, in the pandemic, we've spoken enough on how important it is to get more color on our plate. So local, seasonal color, because that's when you get your antioxidants, all the nutrients. And children love to eat it. And, it need not be boring food, because I think Madan ma'am and I always discuss today, the meals have become more snacks. Dinners have been replaced with snacks. But can we make those snacks also healthy? And I think that is a skill, which we nutritionists teach our clients, and encourage the entire family to eat healthy. So this has been our endeavor during the lockdown period. And this is something that stays for life, because once you've made a recipe, you can make it a part of your cyclical menu. And children love it. Sometimes parents tell us, in fact, my son made a very interesting ragi pizza. And parents were like amazed to see that, pizza is something that children can eat. And children actually asked their parents, "You're sure?" She's asked me that, she's allowed a pizza to me. And yes, why not? You can make it healthy. So, that is something that we need to teach people about. I think so more from just nutrition to now moving to culinary science is what, is evolving. And today, that is the most important thing that we have to educate people at large.
I completely agree. Especially your the comment on the utensils part resonated with me 100%. There have been times where I have made sure I don't eat food because I realize I have to clean 3 or 4 utensils. I'm like, it's rather just like forget eating. That has been the best nutritional effort from me. Like, okay, I have to clean 5 utensils. Okay, rather just have a glass of water and move on.
I know a lot of families which have only started using disposable during that period, disposable plates and glasses, because they didn't want, because if the father or the child was told, then this was a very easy, way of getting out of it. So use disposable.
Yeah.
Yes.
I completely agree. But I also agree with your point where you need to make it fun. People have also realized that it's not really about healthy food. It's about how much you're eating. Quantity of food is really important. So you could still have your vada pavs, but in moderation, essentially. Because I think so it's good that people have learned more during this pandemic. I would like to bring in Ms. Van Zyl to just talk about again the physical activity aspect of it, how we were just discussing earlier about just body posture and how when you're working from home, you're spending so much time sitting. Like while I was talking about body posture, I immediately fixed my own posture. So I would just like you to add to it. Yeah.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. I'm on my phone now, so it's working for now. So let's see. All right. So basically what happens is when we're on our phones and on our computers, we start slouching with our upper body. Now, probably you all are going to correct yourself. But the problem is that we spend about 8, 9, maybe 10 hours a day in this posture, even when we're on our phones, right? So what happens to your body, basically what happens to your body is your chest muscles get really tight, okay, and pull your shoulder forward, and our upper back muscles get lengthened but weak, okay? So firstly, I mean, fixing your posture is really important. So maybe just paying more attention, sitting up straight. Also your desk space, make sure that your desk is in line with your elbow. So if you wanna, oh, it's very difficult to explain, but basically just make sure that your table is in line with your elbow, right? You're not typing like this, you're not typing like that. Basically just nice, in line with your elbow. And then also just making sure that your shoulders stay back and down, as we always say. But if you're currently in pain, which I guess a lot of people that I've seen is, then what would be good is just to stretch your chest out. So you can just stand against the door handle and just kind of stretch your chest out. You can do some upper back exercises such as IYT, lying on the ground, doing just that. And then also just working on your core, making sure that your core is nice and strong. Stretching muscles like your hip flexor, any hip muscles, stretching that can really help. Because there's been a lot of cases where people have lower back pain and upper back pain from sitting for so many hours a day. Unfortunately, right now, that's our reality, right? So we can't do much about being at home and sitting so much. But what you can do is that research basically suggests that even if you work out for 1 hour a day, but you sit for more than 6 hours, it basically cancels each other out. All right. So what that means is in your regular day, every hour, just get up, walk around for 10 minutes, take your call walking, take your classes walking, pick up your laptop, just walk around, just try and stay a little bit more active. I know it's very difficult right now, but really just try every hour just to get up, just maybe do some stretches and then sit back down, because it's really affecting your body in the whole. So yeah, that's I think quick tips if you guys need it for upper back and lower back problems from sitting.
Yeah, I think just being aware of simple problems like that should just keep us moving on its own. Just getting an idea that you are doing this, like just simple awareness of me knowing that I'm slouching forward, make me just sit behind, is just going to help with my just general, like Dr. Harish Shetty had said, that you need to make an effort. It's an attitude, right? Which we've seen as a pattern throughout nutrition, with mental health, but also with physical activity. You need to make an effort to get that 1 hour of exercise in. Apart from that, apart from physical activity, something I feel which we overlook is also sleep. We know that people will sleep for 8 hours, but the quality of that sleep may not be that good. Would you like to expand on that?
Yes, all right. So we always say how important sleep is, but why is it important? Basically, our bodies get time to recover during sleep. Now, when I'm talking about sleep, I mean uninterrupted sleep for 7 to 9 hours. Now, there's sleep duration, which is 7 to 9 hours, and then there's sleep quality. Sleep quality means sleeping. If you say, sometimes we use a rating scale from 1 to 5. So basically 5 meaning you're uninterrupted, beautiful sleep. You don't get up at all at night. And 1 being terrible sleep. You get up every hour or every half an hour. So it's really important that you try and switch off your, say, laptop or your phone about an hour before you go to sleep. Because studies have shown that if you're on a screen watching something, it stimulates your brain, and it takes a little bit longer for your brain to shut down then. So that's really important. So that's maybe one thing that you can include into your routine, just to be able to sleep a little bit better. And then making sure that you try and get that uninterrupted sleep. A lot of A lot of you probably get naps, take naps in the afternoon. I mean, for me, it was a great benefit of working from home to be able to take a nap when you're tired. But try avoiding the naps. Try sleeping at night, sleeping for 7 to 9 continuous hours, and you'll see that your body will feel better. You're better recovered. You're able to focus better on your studies. Um, so sleep is very, very important for your body to recover, and for your general health as well, right? Right now, we don't want to put our immunities under any sort of stress. So make sure that you do sleep enough. It's very, very important.
Vanshdeep, if I can come in here, Leandi, in these times, people have been sleeping late, what has been mentioned here. And most of the time, like Sheryl said, people have been watching Netflix. And like, I think most of the late nights are either watching something on the TV. Very few people, I think, would be reading or working. Uh, so, so, uh, so what is, so even if you're working, academically or work wise, either you are with a gadget, very rarely you are with the books. So how do you see, what are the ways you are saying that shut off everything 1 hour prior to your sleep? But today people have been working late in the night. So whether it is the work, whether it is Netflix, it has glued them to technology. So do you see a way out here in a situation like this?
I think it's just really important to firstly realize how important it is. I know a lot of you probably work, till late, even late at night, or you're watching Netflix, whatever it is. But start small. It's always important to start small. Let's say you're working late at night. Okay, maybe take 10 minutes where you're, say, brushing your teeth, getting water, getting ready for bed, where you don't touch your phone or you don't touch your computer. Just start with 10 minutes or 5 minutes, even if you can't do 10 minutes. Start with 5 minutes and then gradually increase it, because this is really, really important, and it affects your mood. It affects basically everything that you do. So sleep is really important. So I know, saying 1 hour sounds completely crazy, but that's why I start with 5 minutes. Maybe next week you make it 10 minutes. Maybe a week after that you make it 15 minutes. Just gradually start, because ultimately it'll affect your performance the next day. So let's say, for example, you're working on an assignment, and you're trying to finish it up, and you're not finished yet, and now you're just putting things aside and sleeping, and then you can't even sleep because you're so stressed about this assignment. So instead of that, just try and get into a better routine. Take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes before you go to sleep, and just try and relax, so that at least that sleep is of good quality, so that you can perform better on the next day.
I completely agree. I think so. How well you sleep not only affects you, but also affects the people around you. Because we've been stuck together in this pandemic, how your mood is in the morning or throughout the day has an impact on the other people as well, which has an entire impact on the health and mental health of everyone in the household. I would like to bring in Dr. Shetty here. If you could expand on how like family relationships have been affected, and how we had Miss Navleen talk about domestic violence and how that has been affecting people. That's an actual real issue which students have been facing. They've seen domestic violence because people aren't used to staying together for so long. So it's an absolutely new thing. So how would you deal with such a problem, and how can that be improved upon?
Just before that, I would like to add two lines. One is what Cheryl said. Kitchen is the place where family gets united. It's not the drawing room or the TV. And that is something we need to really look at. And for couples, kitchen is more romantic, or as romantic as the bedroom. And what I like what Leandi said about the sleep. And the sleep, I think the architecture of sleep is as important as the length of sleep. And certain Indian methods like yoga nidra, really helps improve sleep to a very great extent. Exercise improves sleep. So I think beautifully said, Lendl. I liked it. Now, National Commission for Women have had more cases of domestic violence than before. But if young boys and girls who are listening to this, if you have seen fights in the family, there are three types of fights. One is you have been seeing it for years and you're not really, you're numbed about it. And you say, chalo abhi start ho jayega Mahabharat, if it's a long war, Kargil, if it's a short war. And they continue. And friends find, and girls and boys find some solace with other friends. Young boys and girls share their home stories openly now as compared to what they would not 20, 30 years back. So that is a buffer. And they don't want to intervene, they don't want to try. If if there is a new war in the family between the parents, and you found that there was no apparent reason, and it's only because of the lockdown, you will try to arbitrate naturally. I mean, all kids try to arbitrate and enjoy being counselors. Okay, but don't grow up very fast, because when you try and arbitrate, you become a grandfather or a grandmother and you lose your youth, and that I think is something we need to really preserve. So Mandoli ke Badsha is a Hindi word from Vastav, the emotional arbitrator, like Miss Chandok is around, a counselor. If they both don't go to a counselor, at least inspire one of them to go. Maybe at times one of the parents could be depressed, and that could be the cause of irritability and anger. Probably one person has lost the job, and that could be the cause of irritability and anger. So you need to really facilitate. You need to facilitate a conversation with somebody who's more experienced to handle it. And that I think is very important. Third is wars were on in the past. Abhi bad gaya hai. Earlier, they were not seen to be with each other. They were both working, and now they are both locked into their own homes. So there are a lot of counselors are doing free counseling for either of them. And if there is violence, rock the boat. Please rock the boat. Please call the helplines and get the cops to your house, so that they're warned not to hit each other, and they can be friends. If you feel so burdened, my young boys and girls, that you really cannot concentrate and you just cannot do anything, हिंदी में कहावत है, हम नफरत के वारिस नहीं बनेंगे. And that is for that you need to have a buffer in the college. You know, I always say, मेरे पास गाड़ी है, बंगला है, clinic अस्पताल है, तुम्हारे पास माँ है. Your teachers are your buffer. They are your frontline counselors. They are your mothers. This is India. This is not the Western world. And it's so important to go and not try to fake. If you have not done an assignment on time, do your assignments on time, but go and honestly share that, ma'am, I'm in trouble. And if in college, if they experience these five things, that's the most powerful buffer. One is the experience learning. I can learn what she teaches me. If they experience memory, I can reproduce what I have been taught. If they can experience friendship, I have friends who are with me, who will stand by me. I can experience play. I could also play with them sometimes, meet them, have a party, chill. And the last is I experience acceptance. And if most of the kids work through this across and manage, and they say, we will not do what you guys did. Lastly, if you're very depressed, very traumatized, if your mind is fractured, don't wait for anybody. A holiday, a sip of wine will not help you. A drag of weed or hash also will not help you. A quick love affair will not help you. Girls who really have troubled parents, don't keep their eyes open when they fall in love. I always say that dil khol ke nahi, aankhein khol ke pyar karo. So they don't open their eyes, and they get into very abusive relationships. So then what is important is, before you do all this, before you indulge in any high-risk behavior, meet a friendly neighborhood counselor. That I think is very important. One more thing about sleep, my dear friends, is remember, tell your parents, if they're on Netflix, they want to sleep well, stop fighting after 7 o'clock, cut their screens after 7, eat well, and one person in the family has to be the influencer to help others sleep. You really touched a great chord, Vanshdeep, about sleep, and I'm so happy. And if some parents and some children get very scared when they're shown that growth hormone is released while you sleep, and kids may not grow. Entire your hormonal plexus or nexus will break, and you might bleed excessively, and it's really show the real consequence. Like, and lastly, the most important consequence is your life can get shortened. And I'm so happy that you touched sleep. So friends, parents can fight, but you need not take that to the next generation. And you need to really have healthy lives. Trust your teachers, even if you have kept nicknames for them. Have keep nicknames, are very important. But trust them completely and get into their hug when you are in trouble. This is India. This is not the Western world. We invade privacies. We love it. We love it. And that also helps in a very different sense. Thank you, Vanshdeep, for that beautiful question.
Thank you. I completely agree with your point of being connected and how, in fact, it's actually really fascinating to hear this from Navleen, that students have opened up to her talking about domestic violence and problems they were having at home. It already shows a positive connection of people being able to speak out and talk about their issues. You spoke about being an influencer. I'm pretty sure everyone around me wants to be an influencer. So if you're asking them to be an influencer at home, I don't think so that's going to be a problem for them. Just slightly different thing, like we've talked about weight loss essentially, because every time we speak about nutrition, majority of us face the problem with weight loss. I think so another part to think about is there are certain set of people who are trying to gain weight, and like different bodies have different reactions to stress and anxiety, and I feel there's a certain section of people who've lost a lot of weight in the pandemic just because of stress, and which they didn't want to do. Ms. Van Zyl mentioned about having small goals and working on those small goals and then building up from there. I would like to just bring in Ms. Sheryl. Could you just explain to us what are these small goals which we could work on for someone who wants to improve their health and just gain weight if possible, if there's something different to do from the general weight loss techniques?
Yes, I think that's a very good question, Vanshdeep. Thank you for asking that. I think it's more about, I think we should move from weight loss or weight gain. I think it's more about gaining health. So weight is just a number. And we know that Indians are thin fat people. We look thin, but we have a lot of body fat, and that is the biggest problem. And I think today everybody is losing weight at the cost of their health, because you have, like we spoke about influencers. I think we all follow a lot of influencers on social media, which may not be the right people to follow, because they are endorsing diets which are not really the right kind of diets. And today everybody is in for that size 0 or trying to achieve, a certain kind of a figure, and then following these kind of influencers which are endorsing diets which are deficient in nutrients, because you're deleting a lot of food groups, especially if you go on a ketogenic diet or a certain kind of diets, or even if you're looking at diets, where they're asking you to delete food groups. So whether it's weight loss or weight gain, the most important thing is to eat a balanced diet, because this, and especially for this age group, I think it's very important, because this is the foundation that you're laying. It's like a building foundation, and we always want the building foundation to be very strong, because this is going to reward you in your later years. So right now, if you're, even for weight gain, we've seen people who have lots of ghee and lots of oil, lots of fried food, sweets, and they think that, that is going to help them gain weight. But that is not the right foundation you're laying, because in the future, you're going to have nutritional deficiencies. So if you go to a qualified dietitian or a nutritionist, you're going to plan a diet where, if you want to lose weight or gain weight, you still are going to eat a balanced diet which have got all the macro as well as micronutrients in the right amounts, which is going to help you gain health and also help you reward a healthy life when you're post 40, post 50, especially for women, post menopausal, etc. So most important is that. So while we're even looking at weight loss, I think it's important to couple it with all the right things about food. I think exercise becomes even important in people who want to gain weight, because you want to gain muscle and, strength training, all this becomes very, very important, and that is something which we see again in the Indian population is lacking. For us, it's only walking, which is about activity, but that is very important component of strength training. And also sleep, like, we've spoken about. So yes, stress has caused a lot of anxiety and, people are losing weight, etc. But I think the most important point is about gaining health and eating right. And, they say to make a habit, you need to follow something for 21 days. I think it's a very well-known fact. and make small gradual changes. So every day look at, what I can change. Am I eating something unhealthy at 5 o'clock, which is not really giving me the right nourishment? Can I just change that? Instead of eating a packet of biscuits, can I have something which is more healthy? And then keep it sustainable. I think most important thing is to sustain it. Doing it for a short period of time is easy, but sustaining that change for a lifetime is something that we should look at and which we should try and embark on. That's most important. So make small gradual changes. Don't do everything. Some people are over enthusiastic, like on Jan 1st everybody makes these resolutions that I'm going to do this, and they try and do something which is very extreme, which is very difficult to sustain in the long run, and that's why we can't do it.
And
And
during
therefore,
birthdays also. Birthdays,
yes,
birthdays. And during
sorry.
birthdays.
Absolutely. So I think the most important thing is sustainability. Whatever we embark on is, and I liked what Sir said, one influencer in the family is most important, because, we all look up to that person, and that person can really change. So if the entire, like I deal with a lot of children with diabetes, and a lot of parents afterwards, initially there's that whole thing, why did it happen to my child and this and that. But after a few years or months, these parents come and say that this has been a blessing. Because of this child, we all have become healthy, we've lost weight, my diabetes numbers have improved, some of them have reversed diabetes. So I think the important thing is to look at it in a very positive manner and accept what comes your way.
Completely agree, Cheryl. You spoke about a really, really important point of essentially a lifestyle change. A lot of us have had this problem, and I think that's a major problem right now, where people, as soon as you mention the word diet, it seems like a short-term fix. Ki, acha, we've taken a diet, we're going to lose weight, in this much amount of time. There is no thought process of, this is something which I want to continue. This is what my normal food is going to be throughout my life. Similarly, with physical activity and mental health work also, I feel it's like you get motivation which is in sports rather than being disciplined about what work you need to do. I feel the motivation goes away. Ms. Van Zyl can add to this, where essentially creating a lifestyle of physical activity, of where you can have certain exercises which you're doing. Also, we talked about strength training. As a society, Indian society hasn't been very positive about strength training at all. Even more for women, it's just looked down upon for no reason. People don't want to be bulky, where they have this stereotypical image of what women are who work out. Though they want that same figure, which is an oxymoron. So, Ms. Van Zyl, if you could speak about strength training and how essentially we need to make a lifestyle change to actually see consistent results.
Yes, absolutely. I think Cheryl spoke really well about making a lifestyle change. I think yes, there's definitely a lot of stereotypes around strength training, and we all think that when strength gets into our brain, we all think that it's these bodybuilders, these big muscles who can't scratch their backs. It's not like that. Strength is not that. Strength is so much more than that. So firstly, I mean, strength helps our bodies, right? It makes our bodies strong. It makes our joints strong, so we don't have aches and pains. Like I was mentioning about the upper back, it can really help your posture. And then, of course, it really helps your mood. It keeps you healthy. So yeah, strength training is way more than just looking like a bodybuilder. And including that into your life, you will definitely reap the benefits. Now, we all think, okay, strength training, so now we have to go to a gym, right? I think one thing that the lockdown has definitely taught me as a strength and conditioning professional is that you do not need a gym to do strength training. All right. So you can use water bottles, you can use heavy books. You all are students, right? So I'm pretty sure you have lots of heavy books at home. You can use that to lift weight. You can just hold in the position that you are. Say, for example, a squat. Try and hold the squat for 30 seconds. It's quite intense. Yeah. So I think going to a gym and strength is no longer associated with each other. I think we've learned that through the lockdown. So it's really important that the gym shouldn't be your excuse. All right. So don't think, okay, I can't go to a gym, so now I can't do strength training. So basic things to remember when you're doing strength training. It's really important to take care of your body as a whole. So not just doing push-ups, not just doing squats, do a combination of lower body and upper body exercise and core exercise and yoga. All of these things are really important. It's not just, okay, now I'm going to do 1,000. I had a client the other day who told me that they did 1,000 push-ups, and I just asked him why, and he had back pain, right? So this is what happens. We see this challenge. Yes, great, I'm going to do this challenge. But remember, your body works as a whole. It doesn't work just your chest works or just your quads work. It doesn't work like that. So make sure that you include, we call it all the functional principles of the body into one program. So firstly, that means knee dominant exercises. So that's your squat. Everyone knows the squat. All right, hip dominant exercises, that's usually bending from your hip. So that can be like a bridge or a deadlift, any exercise like that. Then we usually say push and pull for upper body exercises. The push being a push-up. Again, push-up by itself is not a bad exercise. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying use a push-up in a complete program. All right, then we also have pulling exercises. So this is your pull-ups or your anything with a row, like your bent over rows or your cable rows. And then we usually have any single leg variation. So it's very good to do single leg exercises as well, because then you become more stable in those positions. Again, important if you're, say, a runner or if you're an athlete, but also generally just strengthening on a single leg or single arm is really good. And then, of course, your core exercises. Again, most important thing I think about any training program that you want to do at home is make sure you do a warm-up and a cool-down. All right? Warm-up is always dynamic. Cool-down can be static stretches. All right, do not do static stretches before a workout. Okay, research has shown that it's not good for your body. All right, so I mean, these are just a basic plan for you. Make sure that you look at your body as a whole, and again, start with smaller goals. I think we all get overwhelmed if we want to try something new. We think, okay, if I don't do 100 push-ups right now, it's over. That's not true. Start by doing take small steps. It's the same with your nutrition, right? So say for example, changing that one snack. So firstly, why don't you just try getting up every hour that you're sitting? That's also going to help you increase your activity, okay? And then maybe start with one strength training program a week, okay? I think all of us can make time for one strength program a week at least. Then you increase it to, say, 2 next week. And then maybe you do 2 strength programs for 4 weeks. And then you can increase it to 3 weeks. Okay, so it's really important to just gradually progress. Our body likes progress, right? If we immediately start with something big, it will be overwhelming and we won't be able to sustain it. So make sure that you take gradual steps to increasing your activity. And then also one more important thing that I want to mention here is we usually call it a deload week. So I think on the other side of people who have done a little bit less activity, there's the other side who have done too much activity almost. And they've really taken on this challenge of, I have enough time now to train. And they've watched lots of YouTube videos and they've done really good and they're really fit, which is excellent. That's amazing. But make sure that you do include a deload week into your program. Otherwise, your body doesn't have enough time to recover. So what is a deload week? Basically 3 weeks of hard training. Your 4th week, you'll just take the total load, which is all your exercises that you do in a week, and you'll just decrease a little bit. So say, for example, you're doing 2 sessions a week for 3 weeks, and that 4th week, why don't you just do your 2 sessions, but you decrease the sets. So for example, you're doing 3 sets, just do 2 sets. What that does is it gives your body a little bit of time to recover before you then start with a new block. I see a lot of people who are burnt out and they get random niggles and injuries. So it's really important that if you've increased your activity, make sure that your 4th week is a deload week. Yeah, so I think that's probably how you can now gradually start by increasing your activity. Or for those who have been great at this and have really used your time well, you can probably just include a deload week into your training.
Yeah, completely agree. It's about essentially about balance, about not going overboard on either side. I'm pretty sure a lot of people get extremely motivated on like 1st of January. You see a lot of people at the gym. Also, I feel throughout the pandemic, when people who aren't working out regularly see other people working out, it seems a bit intimidating to start. I feel a social aspect of this has been really helpful during the pandemic, where people have realized you can work out over Zoom with other people, which has helped a lot. So I would like to bring in Dr. Shetty in this as to how we can incorporate more social elements and actually just talk about simple steps which we can do as an individual to just improve our mental health. There are different ways in which you can bring social aspects into fitness. There are other ways in which you can bring simple steps in which our own personal mental health we can work on.
Yes, I think one most important aspect is first identify or innovate your mood lifters and your mood shifters. Automatically in life across time, as children, we are indoctrinated, inculcated, or we discover some mood lifters. For me, just being in silence or just deep breathing, I will not call it pranayam or yoga, but though US Navy, they practice yoga in their ships, US Navy. So when I say US Navy, you all will get alerted to listen to it. So simple breathing, simple activities of reading a book, helping somebody. Kindness not only improves your mood, but it improves your immunity. I'm not saying it, Harvard says that. When you watch a film on kindness, your immunoglobulins improve. Pick up something which you were doing earlier, humming a song, listening to a song, randomly painting, not doing a mandala painting, but taking a crayon. I still remember this event when there was a professor of in a financial institute. His wife called me up and said, we all sit down and do family yoga. But this man refuses to budge. And he has been intellectualizing the entire corona epidemic and has been doing a lot of research and preaching to all his friends. I think just preaching to his friends will not help because he's here. He has to slowly go down, take his car of thinking to the left and land in the heart. So she said he refused to do yoga. So I just spoke to him. He said, well, I breathe naturally. I don't want to breathe artificially. This is what he said, with a very heavy accent. I kept quiet. And his wife still asked me, what is it that I should do? And he said, I will listen to one advice of Dr. Shetty, just one advice. I'll not listen to anything. So I told him, take a crayon, take a blank piece of paper and just rub it on the paper without any plan, without anything. And as he did that, he started laughing like a little child. So discovering your childlike being is one of the most important mood lifters. In my house, my mom says, you are a crazy fellow. And she says, I love your craziness. And that is so important. So that is also one. So mood lifters and mood shifters are many. Don't try to pick up somebody else's mood lifter. It might not work for you. Don't pick up somebody. One couple went for hiking on the Kalsubai Park, climbed the Kalsubai Park. So the neighboring couple said, we should also do what they say. They look happy. Didn't work. She stopped halfway and she came down. So, and you can only discover your mood lifters and your mood shifters in silence. When you're quiet, it automatically comes up. If you don't like yoga, do vipassana. If you don't like yoga and vipassana, you just sit down silently for some time. So I think that is something important. Now, what is also important is People obstruct your mood lifters and mood shifters. Why are you wasting? India, there's a big thing. Don't waste time. Samay barbad mat karo. You see a lot of your grandparents feeling very uncomfortable that they don't have to do anything. Your parents too. I still remember a businessman got very depressed because he just could not go to the market. His son said, please help me. He's 55, please help me, Dr. Shetty. He has to do something. So I really helped him join an NGO which were all helping, which was all helping the corona victims. And then he changed. So there are people who obstruct your mood lifters. Teach your family to be in silence for 10 minutes. To be in silence for 15 minutes, a lot of things automatically will come. Your collective unconscious is a lot of natural mood lifters and mood shifters. The biggest pharmaceutical company is inside the body. Help it to manifest, help it to tell you what to do. And at the same time, sometimes your parents, your brothers and sisters might nudge you to do something nice. Looking at the sun in the morning and doing pranayam, if you're lucky. Looking at the sky. Waving to your friends when you go. There are people who wave to everybody inside the college. Say, hello, ma'am. Hello. There's some people who walk stoically as if everybody is an enemy. And when I asked them, why do you do that? He said, Dr. Shetty, why wave to everybody? I said, I don't wave to everybody to please anybody. I wave because my heart opens. And the other person would not wave. His hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis will go for a shot. When I smile at the watchman in my hospital and I smile at all the doctors, my hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis opens. I don't care. So I think being connected, silence, using mood lifters and mood shifters is extremely important. My dear young boys and girls, please build your emotional energy bank. Kaam aayega. Bahut kaam aayega. Okay. And that can be done by simple, inexpensive practices. And it does not need very complicated, very structured exercises all the time. And the last thing is, be aware of your feelings. Huh? It's normal to get angry. It's normal to feel sad. It's normal to feel jealous. It's normal to feel fearful. It's normal to feel happy. And it's extremely normal to love. I think these are the small things which works. And if you cannot do anything, friendly neighborhood psychologist, Ms. Chandok, or a friendly neighborhood psychiatrist.
I agree completely. I agree with your point of I feel being selfless is probably the most selfish act you can do. And knowing yourself is really important. I think so we can just tie up everything which we discussed essentially here is just by knowing yourself, you can understand how you can improve your nutrition, how are the foods which you can eat, which you can sustain over a long period of time. How do you work on certain things to improve your mental health, what problems you're facing and what scenarios and what opportunities and resources that you have to improve your mental health, as well as your physical health, as to what suits you, what is it that you find fun as a part of your physical well-being, which you can work towards. Everyone is not meant to do like long distance running or meant to like lift extremely heavy weights. They could just go for a walk, but they can learn new things, essentially open up their horizons and do something which is fun. Because at the end of the day, if it's fun, you will continue doing it for a longer period of time. While speaking of this, I would like, Dr. Madan.
Yeah. One question to Dr. Shetty. Dr. Shetty, these days, we've heard so many news of deaths and very sudden kind of deaths. You all of a sudden you hear somebody who was absolutely fine, no longer there, somebody fallen, with a cardiac arrest while walking. So a lot of things, when you hear all this, really disturb you mentally. So what is as a psychologist, what are a few tips you can give to all of us, not only the young adults? I think even as little mature adults, we get impacted. So what are a few tips which you can give us so that we again bounce back with our positivity towards life? Because I have seen this happening. This year has been like filled with these kind of news, and which completely dampens you. But if we get some tips as to how to again bounce back and look at life in a more positive manner? Just few tips.
In the epidemic, a lot of people who have had illnesses have not gone to their doctors. They postponed their treatments, and a lot of people, because of that, have dropped dead, ma'am. That's very important. But if there's a sudden loss inside the family, either due to virus or otherwise, one is shocked. There's a burst of emotions. Why me? Why my family? Let experience those emotions. What is important is identify, acknowledge, accept, experience. Don't be ashamed of your tears. You may be a professor, you may be the prime minister or the vice chancellor. जो बह गया वो पानी है, जो रह गया वो जहर है. No shame in tears. And feel free to share your feelings. Don't play macho, don't play brave. There is no strong mind. Strong minds have open doors. Minds are not made of iron and steel, they're made of neurons and hormones. And don't rush back to your work. Don't postpone your grief. Let that grief spill. At the same time, Corona has really taught us that all of us are going to die one day, and that it has actually reminded us. In Gujarati, they say, Shabuddin Rathod said, Taro Pachi Maro. At the same time, when somebody you have lost inside the family, quickly, don't be afraid to talk about him or her with the family members. What happens is the mother says, I can't talk about my husband to the child because she'll feel weak. I need to appear strong. The child says, if I talk to my mother about my father and what I think and feel about my father, she'll get upset. No. When you cry together, you heal together. When you cry together, you slowly you start talking about the beautiful memories and the beautiful moments you've had with the person who has lost. So avoidance is a very dangerous phenomenon. And fourth, bring back those memories. If he has really died in a hospital, go to the hospital, grieve again. If he's gone away in an accident, if you can go to the place of the accident and recall and grieve once more, that really helps. God is a great healer, and visiting the Golden Temple or the temple of your choice or the place of your choice with the family is so important. Remember, children do not like stoic parents. They want normal parents. And when a young girl of 20 or 25 sees a father crying or the loss of his wife or mother crying the loss of the husband, they say, normal bapu hai mera. मेरी माँ नॉर्मल है, जैसे मैं रोता हूँ उसकी आंखों में भी आंसू आती है. We don't want Amitabh Bachchan from Mohabbatein. We want a normal grieving man or a woman inside the family. People who cry as often as they feel live longer lives. People who have internal combustion all the time die early.
Okay, that was amazing. Just to wrap up, essentially, I would like to ask the attendees of the webinar if they have a few questions. We can address those questions right now. If you can just put it in the chat, we'll talk about those questions. While we wait for these questions, I've seen some people have mentioned in the chat where they're talking about social media and the impact which it has had. Sheryl, you spoke about a little bit about how we need to essentially audit the people you're taking advice from. I would suggest people take advice from the people on the panel over here rather than people who have 50,000 followers on Instagram. And if you could add to that, how has social media essentially improved or affected nutrition of people right now and what they're eating and what does their lifestyle essentially mean?
I think, Vanshdeep, like I mentioned, we've had a lot of, I think this gave us also a lot of time because otherwise we get so busy with patients and clients. But, we had a lot of time on hand. So a lot of dietitians, nutritionists have started using social media, and coming out with videos, recipes, giving out a very positive message. And, I think that has really helped because people now realize that there's so much of confusion, on social media because you don't know whom to follow. Some people are saying this is good, whereas somebody is saying, no, this is not good. So, there's a lot of confusion. And when you have qualified people using social media to their benefit to come out and reach out to people, telling them exactly what is, backed by scientific evidence, I think that becomes very, very good. And I think we should all use social media in a very positive way. I think we have that as a very strong tool with us. And I would urge everybody, even if we have nutrition students here, I think, it is very important to use social media in a very positive way. I think demonstrating recipes, because everyone's looking for very easy to make recipes. And like I mentioned to you, I did these, series of videos with my son, which became very, very popular and went viral, and we had more mothers doing it with their children because they didn't know what to do during that period. So, using whatever is your strength, and reaching out to the public, I think this is very, very important. And like you mentioned, not everybody who has 50,000 and 1 million followers is the person to be followed, because we know that some of them even buy those followers, and that's not exactly what we would want to do. And doing something which is sustainable. And I think what also the pandemic taught us, which I would like to add, is gender parity. I think it is now, because in the past it was very unusual to see a man in the kitchen or man washing dishes or sweeping. It used to be like, oh my god. But today I think at least our children will find it very normal to have and I think for the boys also, it will be very, very normal to help out their wives in the kitchen. And I think that will also help a lot. So that can also be counted as a very positive impact of the pandemic, which is brought about gender parity in all fronts.
Thank you. We have a few questions for Dr. Shetty. People asking, how do you draw the line between normal behavior? What is normal behavior and what are mood swings? And how do you build positive emotions in your daily life?
Well, first is let me break a myth. Everybody was talking about positivity in the lockdown. There's nothing like 100% positivity.
Yeah.
Beneath the positivity is also a lot of negativity, which is normal. So if you feel really left out, everybody is baking, everybody is putting it, don't worry. Give them a call, ask them to send you some cakes. And I did that, and I got some. So beneath the layers of positivity are feelings of negativity and isolation. So anger is a normal emotion. Aggression is an abnormal state. Humiliation is not anger. Insulting is not anger. Irritability is anger in motion. So there's a difference. And if the irritability is uncontrollable, you need to see a physician, a dietitian, or a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Sadness is a normal emotion. Depression is a negative state. If you're sad continuously all the time and you don't feel like doing anything, you need to correct yourself. Envy is normal, very normal. Use mere se jyada marks kaise mila? I taught the entire group, but she scored more than me. This happened to me all the time because I was a listener and I've learned from people all the time. Auditory memory is my strong point. Well, that is normal. But sharing the envy, yaar, tujhe kya tune jhol kiya? Tell me, yaar, what do? You know Jagmeet ma'am so well. I think you know Archana ma'am so well, or Madhuri ma'am so well. What did you do? And that is normal. But burning internal combustion with envy, avoiding the person, not talking to the person, doesn't do anything, doesn't happen. Nothing happens to that person. Resentment is like a cup of poison. You drink and expect him to die or her to die. So I've shared this envy so many times, just before marriage, okay? So next is that if you feel extremely scared, fear is normal. I'm scared of the virus even today. I'm scared of dying from the infection. I took a vaccine, by the way. Everybody should take a vaccine at the earliest. But anxiety to a point that I'm paralyzed, I cannot go out, I cannot drive, I cannot go, and I cannot fly, I cannot go to my hospital is abnormal. So you need to go and really, really help yourself. Love is normal. But obsessive love and possessive love, I don't want you to talk to anybody except me. I want all the passwords. Please stay away from these guys and girls and see that you're not abused and you're not subject to violence. Normal is you're aware of your feelings as they come up and down like the ragas of Hindu classical music. You're not ashamed to take help during a crisis, and you don't behave like a strong man. You exercise as she said, you eat right, and you remain in balance. And if the balance breaks, seek help. Kill shame, seek help. Anybody can get depressed. Mine is like a fuse, it can go off without reason. Mine can go off without reason, and seeking help. And that is the bottom line. Yoga helps and meditation helps, exercise, diet, sleep, and kindness helps. So that is, I think, probably the answer to your question, Vanshdeep.
Okay. I think so. The question which you're getting, we have another question. Yeah, I think so, which people would have understood it. Like the other questions which you have covers what you've spoken about. I would like to talk about myself a little bit. I'll just explain. Maybe someone can understand if they're going through the same thing. Throughout my life, I was like an overweight kid. So there was this period of time where I have done these diets. I've gone through constantly, gone to dietitians, and they've given me a diet. I've lost weight. But then as soon as the diet period got over, I immediately went back to my normal food. But then it was just up and down constantly. Until one day I decided, I'm like, there are so many people who've lost weight on their own. Why can't I do it on my own? Or aren't there resources which can help me figure it out? So that essentially got me going to Google and figuring out that essentially there are so many resources online which you can use for your own health. So that got me to just tracking the food which I was eating, like calorie counting, like simple stuff like MyFitnessPal, which is a simple app where you can log in all your food, how much you're eating and what is the protein intake, blah, 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 all of that. So I started off small, just did all of that. And it was a learning for me as well, where I learned that there was this thought process where I was working out, where I felt, acha, I'm working out so then I can eat whatever I want. That was again a learning for me, where I was working out very intently, but I wasn't losing any weight. There wasn't any difference, which made me realize that nutrition was like 70% and like exercise was about 30%, which again, the only exercise which I continued to do was something which I enjoyed doing. With somewhere where I went, I essentially started doing CrossFit about 7-8 years ago. People get intimidated when they say, oh, you're doing CrossFit, you're lifting so much weight, you're doing all of this. Essentially, that was not what interested me in CrossFit. It was the community aspect. It was the community aspect of it. Essentially, it's about 8 to 10 people working out together, pushing each other on. That was a social aspect to it, which was another good learning for me, where it was something which I was enjoying doing. Like there wasn't a vanity aspect as to why I was working out. It was more about, okay, I'm going to go meet my friends, have some fun while we're also working out. So while we spoke about having habits and having fun while doing it, this was a really good aspect to it. So even for me during the lockdown, essentially life completely changed. What work we are doing had to be completely analyzed, but I essentially took it as an opportunity where I had so much time at home, so I was sitting in front of the computer all day. So I decided I'd just write a book around it. So I'd written a book earlier on how to use WhatsApp. It was just a simple, as all the young adults over here can relate to, you've spent a lot of time explaining to your parents and grandparents how to use simple technology on how to use WhatsApp. So that was my thought process, and writing my second book, which is how to use Zoom. Like right now, a lot of people over here are on a Zoom call, which have struggled immensely to understand what is happening, how our lives are completely changed. That was just a simple thought in my mind, and it was essentially amazing for me, as in it was helping me keep the time, get the time through during this pandemic. I had a goal, I had small goals which I worked on during the day, which was just essentially very helpful. So it wasn't like a long-term monetary goal. It was just something to keep myself busy. So that essentially personally helped me deal with my stress levels, with my anxiety levels. And third, another thing which really helped was having a routine. My friends, about 5 to 6 of us, decided every day at 6:30 we would come together on a Zoom call and work out together. So there were a lot of people who had not worked out ever before, but all of them came together. Again, the social aspect was really helpful, where they all came together, we helped each other, we motivated each other, because there were obviously days where you didn't want to work out. It's very normal, where there is you're physically or mentally just not there, but knowing that you're meeting your friends, you just go and do a little bit. And then that little bit keeps on adding up over a period of time. So this was something that helped me. Hopefully, if it could help other people. Someone's asking what app helped to check my weight and eating habits. It's called MyFitnessPal. It's a standard app. It's on iPhone and Android. It's just simple. It helps you track the food the calories of the food which you're eating. It's all, you can just Google it and you can find out a lot. Just Google, like, make use of Google. It's amazing what a tool that you have. Any other questions which you guys have, which we can talk to the panelists about? There was a question regarding how life has become monotonous. Like, obviously, a lot of people are working a 9-to-5 job. Normally, what would happen is they would go to the job, they would meet their colleagues over there, there would be a different environment, and then come back, travel, meet friends afterwards. Now, what has happened is they're stuck at home. Their office is their house. So it's difficult to mentally switch. I would like to bring in Ms. Van Zyl, if you could add, like, how do you think we can just add a little bit of spice to the life? Yeah.
I think thanks for sharing your story. I think a lot of us can relate to that. Yeah, so firstly, with regards to exercise, you rightly pointed out that it's really important that you do what you like. I think I once attended a lecture, and the first thing that the lady said is that most people don't exercise because they haven't found what they like yet. And I think that's very important. Now, with the pandemic and with Zoom calls and all of that, you can really do anything. So make sure that you find out what you like and keep doing that, right? That's one way of changing your monotony. Starting some exercise. It can be a dance class, it can be yoga, it can be strength training, it can literally right now be anything. And there's lots of resources out there. So maybe just starting a workout regime can help. Monotony is, I think, for all of us has become a problem. So for me personally, I try and do different workouts on different days, which kind of help. So say one day I'll do yoga, the next day I'll go for a walk, maybe the next day I'll do a strength workout. So that's one way to do it using exercise. I think you could probably also use nutrition, maybe have different food, experiment with food that helps. I think for us personally, it's helped. I've learned to cook a lot of Indian food in the lockdown, and it's really been so interesting to see how much work Indian food is really. And I mean, that's one way, you know, just cooking, taking up cooking, starting researching new recipes, eating different food. That can be one way. And I guess finding different places in your house to work. I realized that I've gone from my living room to to my bedroom sometimes, to the study. So I think just maybe moving things around like that also really helps. Changing up your routine as well. Vanshdeep, you're saying that you guys work out 6:30, say p.m. Maybe just do your workout in the morning. That can also really help. For me personally, these little small things has really helped days be different than just sticking to the same kind of thing. A routine helps, yes, but when you get to that point when it becomes monotonous, try and switch things around, you know, and then try and reach out to people. I think we've all initially started with the Zoom calls and the Zoom birthday parties, and it was all fun initially. And I think now we've become really tired of any Zoom parties. So I mean, for me personally, I'm really tired of it. But I think just maybe reaching out to one person a week, you know, one friend that you haven't spoken to. That has really helped me also. Just talking to someone else with another experience and just asking them how they're doing. You feel better because you've spoken to your friend. They might need someone to reach out to them. So I think that can also be maybe one goal that you can set yourself. Maybe just speak to one person, one of your friends that you haven't spoken to in a while. Yeah, I think it's great. There's a lot of positivity now with the vaccine. I think we need to just stay positive, guys, and keep up the hope. Try and add these little things to your life. We're almost there. So I think just keep doing what you're doing. Try and add new things to your routine, new things to your day, change things around if you need to. And then we should be clear towards maybe the end of this year or anything. But yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do to just kind of help you with monotony. And just one more thing I wanted to say, YouTube is a great resource. Social media is a great resource. But it's really important, like Sheryl also mentioned, to choose the right people. If I think for me, what I use when I follow people is if their posts make you feel good. If it doesn't, don't follow them. I think that's really important. We all, especially as women, we see this lady who looks really good on social media and we think, wow, I want to be like her. But meanwhile, you in your brain, you're thinking, you're comparing yourself to her, or even guys, it can happen the same with guys. So I think it's just really important that the people that you follow, make sure that firstly they know their topic. So at least make sure that they've studied the topic they're talking about. And if it's someone that you look up to based on physical appearance and it makes you feel really bad, then probably it's not a good idea to follow them. So that's just a small tip from my side. But yeah, I think there's lots of things that we can still, in our current environment, do to change up our lives a little bit.
Thank you. That was great. Ms. Sheryl, if you could give us a last takeaway message to all the young adults who are on this webinar right now, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think since we've spoken so much about social media, one thing is don't take social media too seriously. It's because everybody puts, all good things about them and nobody posts their failures on social media. So it's not like, their life is 100% perfect. And that's why don't waste too much time on it also. I think use that time to, build a skill, learn something new, do something which makes you feel good. That's very important. And I think when it comes to nutrition also, it's not like you have to eat 365 days a year, only those healthy foods. Once in a way, if you feel that, you're not feeling good, you are craving something, eat it. I think it's fine. So eat it in moderation. Don't punish yourself. And, don't think that, okay, today I've eaten this, tomorrow I'm going to starve the whole day. That's not the solution, So I think everything in moderation, even unhealthy food in moderation, you should know how much. That is most important. And don't punish yourself by starving and doing those kind of, crash diets. And one day you're binge eating and second day you're not eating anything. That is not something that we would advise. So everything I think in life should be in moderation, whether you want to enjoy, whether you want to eat, everything in moderation, and don't take social media too seriously, is my message to the youngsters.
Okay, thank you so much. Just a final question to Dr. Shetty. Essentially, we have a question which says that everyone thinks that there'll be an immediate switch where everything will go back to normal. But it doesn't seem that way. I mean, it's difficult to just think, oh, okay, immediately we'll change, and then one day, as soon as we get the vaccine, everything is fine. If you could just comment on this and just give your final takeaway points of what we can do to help with this.
This virus is a predictably unpredictable virus. Mask is the vaccine. Please continue practicing the protocol. Take the vaccine without fear. I have taken it on the first day. One of the first to take the vaccines in the city. Number 3, be mindful of what you're doing. When you're eating, be mindful of what you're eating. Be mindful of what you're exercising. In the gym, please do not take excessive caffeine or steroid shots. Dangerous, you will die early. Will not be able to have a good marriage, and you might have cancer. Fourth, what is extremely important is young girls. I fold my hands to you. Don't starve yourself to have that figure. I see a lot of girls from SNDT with nutritional deficiencies, SNDT, and other colleges. SNDT has a large number of girls only, so that's why I'm saying SNDT. I'm not saying It's not a reflection on the SNDT. Nutritional deficiencies, low vitamin B12, low vitamin D3, because मैं सिर्फ 2 चपाती खाऊंगा. I don't care. Please, whatever you are doing, your dieting, go to a registered dietitian, a qualified dietitian. If you're exercising, please take advice of how to exercise and what to exercise. You come to me with depression because of nutritional deficiency. And lastly, my dear friends, अच्छे दिन आएंगे, at least for the virus. Things will come back to normal. But I don't know when. But that even if you smile and laugh with the mask on, I can see it in your eyes. I can see the cheeks glowing when you sit in front of me. I love that. It's perfect. So many people come and say, mask उतार के मैं चेहरा दिखाऊं, नहीं दिखाओ भाई, कोई चिंता नहीं. अच्छे दिन आएंगे, good days will come, and after the pandemic, 100 years back, we came back with a bang. After the war, after the Second World War, Germany came back with a bang. We also come back with a bang. Nothing to worry. We have survived the epidemic, and we had the least number of deaths. We had the maximum recoveries. We have been fairly disciplined. Good days will come back. Happy days are here again. I will not add the drink which was linked to those days. Thank you, Vanshdeep, for handling it so beautifully, and your story really inspires a lot of people. And I love that community exercising, which I think is beautiful. Thank you, Jagmeet Madan, Dr. Jagmeet Madan, for insisting that I should be there. Madhuri, Archana for chasing me, and those young girls, Navlin Chandok, and Miss Damle for being there. And also our panel is fantastic. Lindell, you got little less time, but you managed to tell the essence of the entire thing. Sheryl, a lot of learning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. With that, essentially, I'll just pass it on to Miss Archana Jain. And yeah, thank you.
Vanshdeep, you have really been an excellent moderator.
Thank you.
You have stitched in the conversation so well, and the panelists all, were vibrating the same thing. So it was, the connection that we were wanting, the mind-body connection, our dream was, realized because of your wonderful moderation. And of course, the panelists are each experts in themselves, and you brought in your own experiences, your own style of talking, and which made it so much more meaningful for each one of us. I think we are all going back with a lot of food for thought. And Harish sir, I will just add to you, हमारे अच्छे दिन आ गए, okay, और आए हुए ही हैं. We get to listen to speakers like you, which normally wouldn't have happened, in a non-pandemic situation. So हर दिन अच्छा ही है, okay. So we have to just, like you said, it's all in your mind. So I would say that to the students also, अच्छे दिन हैं और रहेंगे, okay. It's just that you have to adapt to whatever is happening. With this, I would like to thank all the panelists, and I have some message for the attendees. One thing is that please make a note that you will get your certificates only if you fill the feedback form, and the link of the feedback form will be shared in the chat box towards the end of the webinar. So and please make sure that you fill the feedback form to be able to get this certificate. Even otherwise, even if you don't want the certificate, please fill the feedback form, because it's going to help us to make programs better. Second thing is, we are going to break for lunch now, and we're going to start dot at 2 o'clock. So please be there. The ones who don't want to log out and want to stay in the Zoom can do so. And if you want to log out, and then you can come back on Zoom. And if Zoom is not available, then you can be there on the Facebook. But we do come back, because we're going to have an equally interesting session after this. This was a sharing, and this is for a personal help in terms of this thing. The other sessions are going to be equally interesting and helpful, definitely for the students. And I would like to thank everyone for being there all the time. Miss Sheryl, Dr. Harish Shetty, Ms. Leandi, you were all wonderful, and there was not a minute, where I wanted to lose on anything that you were saying. And Dr. Madan was clapping all the time from there, even right now. So it resonated very well, I'm sure, with the students and with the teachers. And thank you for the very, very kind words, Dr. Harish Shetty, for teachers, because when you say it, I think the students will come to us more. So thank you for your very kind words.
So Archana, let's give a resounding virtual clap to all our panelists.
Yes.
So let the screen resound
absolutely.
with our energy and say that thank you very, very much for being with us, all of you. I think you made the whole session so very special. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
It's a dream. It's a dream come true. Thank you so much. So
Thank
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vansh.